皆さんこんにちは。
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's start the session. This is the panel discussion on overcoming challenges at Yahoo Japan and LINE Data Analysis Organization. The first, we'd like to introduce the panelists. Myself, serving as a moderator, my name is Sakaue from Yahoo Japan. Very nice to meet you. My name from Yahoo Japan Analysis Department. My name is Sekiguchi. Are you okay? Yes. From LINE, I belong to Data Science Department. My name is Takaguchi. I'm serving as a senior manager. And thank you very much for joining today. So the two of you at your organization that you are working as a manager for data scientist department. So I would like you to introduce the data analysis organization. And will you start, Sekiguchi-san, for Yahoo Japan? Well, yes. I said that I'm from a data scientist department, but I'm from the science analysis division. So according to this chart, media service group or shopping service group or marketing solution group. So we have a group for different solutions, and underneath that there are analysis divisions, and our group does not belong to or belong to any service group that we are exist as a dependent service group, and I'm from that group. So irrespective of the type of the services, that the reason why we have this organization, which is not directly linked to the different service groups, and the reasons to be so those requests for the analysis to our group would be the highly demanding, for example, those project which go across the different service groups like shopping and analysis, or for the data analysis for the mid and long-term investment. So kind of a difficult project, or in case that they have a shortage of data analysts in the service group, that we send out people as a help to them. And how many members do you have in your team? Well, for all of the company, that this analyst will be 1,200, and we have the 200, and we have 15 members. And next, Takaguchi-san. I said I belong to Data Scientist Department 1, and we have a Department 1 and 2, and each department covers these areas. And in my group, lineup, message, or other communication-related area, and for B2B, that the line official accounts or line ads, and data science too is in charge of family service, line gift, line music, this kind of family services, and financial services such as line pay. So organizationally, there are two groups. However, originally, basically, these are operated as one group. But because of the increase of the work that we nominally divide the group into two. And as Sekiguchi-san said, our position would be very similar. So we are the cross-functional organization, but our missions are that the data analysis for the purpose of problem solving cross-functionally. For example, line app and line family service, or the combination of line app and line ads. So those issues which cannot be solved by one group can be or should be resolved as a cross-functional service group. And also, along with that, there will be a difficult analysis requirement, and our department will be in charge for that kind of analysis. Thank you very much. So, the both of you have analysis team for the cross-functional analysis for the company which holds a different type of the services. And along with that, there will be a specific difficulties. So let's get on the topics. Firstly, what are your efforts in terms of systems and the methods for cross-functional data analysis? There would be different things that you can talk. Well, Sakiguchi-san of Yahoo Japan, will you start? Well, yes, there are a number of difficulties and challenges. So for the cross-functional data analysis, there are data scattered, different locations, different services. So that is the most difficult part for us first. So this, in order to resolve that scattered data issue, that we took time, we take effort, and to develop a data organized, and those data is stored or held in one table with the conversion data or PB data, to which that we are able to see that all data across the services. And because the table is available, but for example, that the students on the internship for only 2 weeks would be able to do the analysis job from the issue discovery to the proposal of the solution. And we have a table to tell that user features, the common features among the users. And using that table will help the analysis from the beginning. But that table developed not by us, but the group in charge of the platform. So we are thankful to their job. So that's how that we do. All right. So if the environment in which the analysts are able to analyze the data using the data located at one place would be preferred. And then that how much or how many percent of the total issues will be or analysis can be done with those unified table? Well, yes, we are able to do a certain extent, but for the other data, we have organized a kind of a format so that definition of the data does not have to be confirmed from the beginning all the time. All right. So you're saying that you can you can handle half of the analysis. That's great, isn't it? Yes. So do you have any approaches, common approaches that we have developed that the scenario based on the features for the learnings? And sometimes the data set may be different. So as a line cluster, so that we have the data located at one places from different services, but from getting the data and processing the data should be done at each group or each team and along with our philosophy.
So there's something common, but the fundamental posture directions are different. Okay, that's interesting. Mr. Takaguchi, do you have any other things you do? Well, he talked about the data, so I like to talk about the people side. In order to have a cross-sectional analysis, we have to see the performance of ads, and also we have to see the analyze of the elements. And both of them have a different functions department, but with the project, they do the same task. We do the online test in order to verify that. We like to have a final decision from the both perspectives. Okay, I see. So you have a multiple perspective. Talking about the methodology, as it leads to what I talked about, there are multiple stakeholders, and if we have a multiple analysts, that makes the situation very complicated. So we like to make it simple, so that anyone can start with a simple method, and to make it complicated over time. Yes, to be sure, the analysis is something to understand. So we have to guarantee the understandability of that. It's important. When you say simple methods, how can you guarantee the simple methods? Come to think of it, you have a hypothesis and you have a model, and stakeholders has to understand about the hypothesis. Yes, it's for us to explain about the technical things. However, we have to think about the hypothesis, and we have to understand the limit of the hypothesis and how we understand the results. And like the textbooks, we have the analysis for the. When we think about the also the numerical analysis, even though we can communicate by repeating all this cycle, we will have the better analysis. So you have to think about you have to explain about the methodology and how you interpret the data. And also you said about multiple perspectives, but I think it's in very many cases it's important, and it's very difficult for the multiple analysis to do the same project. We have a metallic. You start with the main to sub. To measure the certain part, this is in charge of the service division or the ads divisions. So we can divide the divisions for the roles, and then we combine the results to have the final decision that will work. So that will enhance the quality of analysis, and each analyst can raise the level of knowledge by so doing. Yes, that's good. So you have multiple perspectives. What do you think when you have multiple analysts for one project? Well, it tends that we need to have maybe not more than one, maybe 1.5. So that was very informative. Well, we do that only for the major project or major change. So each company has their own way, unique way of doing it. And we talked about the assignment of people. For one of the struggles one of the challenges that the data analysts have will be that they tend to act like an individual small store. And let me move on to the next topic. How do you share analysis cases and knowledge within your organization? What do you do to do this? Mr. Takaguchi? Other than the multiple assignment, what do you do? In order to share the analysis, we have a weekly meeting. So one presenter will make a presentation and share the cases. It takes 20 to 30 minutes for one presentation, and we have a question and answer session so that everyone can understand what others are doing. So it's a weekly meeting? Yes. It's kind of an aggressive goal to have a weekly meeting. It might be difficult to do the management. Well, I didn't think about it. We have 30 members in total, so So it takes we take one turn within 6 months. So it's a good interval to reflect your own work. So when we have a smaller group, everyone knows what they're doing. So we limit it to the one specific topic. But now we have more members in the group. So that's why we take turns to make presentations so that we take time to understand each other's project. So you have a question answer session, a meeting. After you make a presentation, it will be heartbreaking to not to have any reaction. So you tend to have a better feedback from the presentation. Yes, we encourage them to have a question and answer session, especially online. It's like you're talking to the screen. Even in the same team, you feel not assured. So I try to have them more comfortable situations. And on the presenter side, I like to ask them to do the message they want to deliver, and so that the members can understand the purpose, so that we can focus on the purpose of delivering a presentation, so that we have a better discussion. That's what we have just started. So for presenters can get some kind of a souvenirs for doing that, so they enjoy the benefit of it, and also listeners have the benefit of it. So if you're required, it is difficult to continue. But if you have a good insight within the team, it will motivate each member, so we don't see the complete form.
Thank you very much. How about you, Sekiguchi-san, in Yahoo Japan? Yes, in Yahoo Japan as well, in my group, we have a weekly regular meeting. And also, all of the scientists have a scientist share a meeting on a weekly basis to share that information among the scientists. And also, once or twice a month, that the analysts, experts share meeting, a kind of an experts meeting to share that information and the knowledge. And the larger session, we have a poster session once a year. So the data and the science, or in the other area that we have a presentation using the poster. So there are different types of sharing opportunities. Okay, so you have a sharing meeting and the device. But for poster session, how do you nominate, how do you select the presenter? Yes, based on the candidacy. And so those who we ask if there are anybody who would like to volunteer for the presentation, and they raise their hands. And for sharing a meeting, that we have a kind of a rotating system. Then, so those who are in charge of analysis or analysts, probably my prejudice, but they tend to be shy. But even if they have a very good knowledge, they would not be very active in communicating or speak out. But how to encourage that communication? Well, one thing that we are trying to do is to writing the tips or knowledge in the internal wiki, or those who made the presentation at the poster session. These are incorporated into the assessment element. So of course, we have a project, but those communication are also assessed. Okay, so that HR assessment, all right, that's clearly stated. Well, that's kind of aggressive. Well, we do not make it so clearly, but those who made a presentation and those something returned to the members, or those who are bringing something new to the members. And I really hope that if we are able to have a cycle to reward something to the contributors, for those as senior persons, that one of the job is to create an atmosphere to encourage that information sharing or communicating easily. All right, so next topic. So we talked about the knowledge sharing, but for the analysts, data science or knowledge on the data, that's not enough. The business itself or understanding the market and insight would be very important. So how do you acquire the knowledge to support the various domains of a service? A very deep theme. Sekiguchi-san. Yes, this is a very difficult theme. I would like to know the better way to do this. But so unlike the regular or normal other operating companies, that in our case, the service that we are requested to do the analysis is something that we have never used. Then that we start with using that service. First to experience the service and buying something to do shopping and to very near to complete that transaction. But and then the PV or the conversion type of the data for that particular service could be collected. And so we actually try to experience the feeling on the use of that service. And sometimes that we develop a document to explain the particular service. However, that using the service and touching the data and tallying the data or aggregate the data. So from that experience that we are able to reach at a certain solution, and looking at the different services, the key points or keys in a particular service could be common to the other service. So when we often say domain knowledge, even if we call it domain, part of them can be used in the other domains. So along with those efforts, we try to accumulate that integrated knowledge. All right. So try to use that service to be important attitude for anybody, not just for the analyst. Then something common in the domain or across the service, even if the services are different. So what are they specifically? For example, in case of shopping and auction, the product categories or new users or existing users, of course, this classification will be important for shopping and auction. So that those for shopping, the category of the users or profile of the user could be applied to the auction. And so if we have an accumulated experience or knowledge, it would be easier to come up with the hypothesis. Yes, and though you or we do not know all of the service, but probably there could be a negative effect if you have too much knowledge. But at the same time, that if you don't have enough knowledge, you would not be able to develop a hypothesis. So the balance between these two would be important. All right, and Takaguchi-san, yes, I agree with what Takaguchi-san said. And the other aspect would be, so in our case, we receive a request from the service group or operation groups, then that we assign that a analyst to a particular service for a long time, and so that those analysts are acknowledged as a specialist, and so that they are or analysts are be able to accumulate the knowledge. And so, in order to understand that the certain aspects of the service, of course, there are differences between analysis and service, but sometimes that we need to go into the business, for example, to read by reading the business document, understand the long-term strategy. But it's difficult, but that's what we are doing.
So also over time, and based on my experience, that service or knowledge tends to belong to a specific person. So it's not qualified in the document sometimes. So it's one of the obstacles, difficulties that we have a long-term assignment. Recently we have you review the query or analysis report on a day-to-day basis, but it's likely to have the senior members to review the junior members. But by having the opposite system, like have the junior members to review the senior analysts so that they can ask questions to senior members and they can acquire knowledge and they can learn a lot by having the answers from the senior members. And from the senior members' point of view, they can realize their tacit understanding and we can qualify them and also share knowledge by documenting them. See, in the first questions, you have the multiple assignment. You said try to avoid the silo and organization, and also I feel a strong intention of management for not to have the knowledge belong to specific persons. So how about these junior members? Young people tend to ask questions for the review to the senior members. Yeah, we have a formal relationship, but there's no right or wrong and the rules in question and answer session. So we have the atmosphere so that anyone can like to ask questions, so they don't have to have a hesitance or reluctance because we have the good relationship to communicate. So everyone worked very hard on that. So if senior members don't get emotional by being asked by the young ones, I myself feel the same way. But for in the graduate school or like in the academic, I have experience in academic researchers. It's okay to make mistakes, so I can accept all these challenges straight away. How about Yahoo Japan? Well, especially in a science group, we have more young members and we have less number of senior analysts in our organizations. So they ask young or new hires tend to have innocent questions. And I myself ask many questions, and sometimes I was for the analysis report, when I made mistakes in the analysis method, I was also pointed out. So as an atmosphere, in case of Yahoo Japan, we have such an atmosphere. And also we have the regular relationship and we have the mentally secure relationship. So even the managers can make mistakes. And So the people in upper position makes mistakes and show them aggressively to the subordinates. That will be okay. That's a good story. So you have similar culture, and feedback is very important. To be more specifically, I'd like to know about the challenge about the analysis project. Like, this is very common topic. What are some typical mistakes or pitfalls when analyzing data? Well, you can lots of things to talk about on this topic, but what do you bear in mind, Mr. Sekiguchi? Well, there are many cases. Typical things would be like there's a difference in cause and effects and correlations. In case of Yahoo, Japan online shopping, and there's a difference in order rate by 2 times for the reviews, for the people who are looking at the reviews and who are not. But looking at the reviews, they are very willing to buy the products, so they are reviews. It doesn't mean that we will show the reviews more aggressively. That will automatically increase the rate of order rate. So it's like the relationship with the chocolate and Nobel Prize. If you distribute the chocolate, it will increase the number of Nobel laureates. Well, that doesn't make sense. However, in order to have analysis for the number of reviews you see, and also the order rate relationship, it tends to have. So in order to have numerical values, we have to use the cause and effect methodology to have a more sophisticated analysis. So it doesn't mean that you have to be more careful. However, it's not necessarily so. If you're overdoing it, for example, for analysis, it's important to contribute to the decision making. If the analysis doesn't contribute to the decision making, it doesn't make any sense. So does it affect of 1 million yen or 100 million yen? If it has an effect of such worth it, you can take us. But if you have only only a small portion of effect, you don't have to take time and money to do the analysis. It's to put the cargo before the horse.
Thank you very much. So that's a chicken or egg issue. It's normally or often we say we don't know. And so that how to prove, if we are asked that how to prove, because the data analysis itself is not a purpose, it is just a methodology or mean. So that asking or not expecting too much to data analysis is an important attitude, important concept. So that the high accuracy, 90% accuracy for 3 months, or accuracy at 70, 80% for 3 days period. Maybe this one would be better for the business. Okay, and I would like to talk about the case for the cross-functional organization. So because there would be a number of views, because a number of stakeholders would be higher, and also that we have to look at the different views. So once we take a look at the data, though we know what the data analysis is, however, that we tend to have our own thought into the data. Therefore, before the analysis, we should define that the criteria for the decision before looking at the data, and based on that criteria, we start the data analysis work, but at least for this range, and this is what this range could be agreed by all stakeholders. That has to be clarified beforehand. Okay, so define the exit. Yes. So because data analysis is not the purpose, it is the method. And sometimes we can't find the answer from the data. What do you do in such case? Yes, we have that cases. So in our case, that we have a number of services, therefore we try to find the answers within our own area. But those issues or questions or analysis that cannot lead to certain answers or decisions. And we have to think about the business aspect, how much cost, additional cost we need to take to reach the answer. If we are not able to reach to a certain quantitative answer or conclusion, then we try to see the other type of the data, the market data or the competitors' data. So rather than try to resolve with what we have, we try to reach out the other source or to get the other view. All right. Yes, even if it is a big data, as long as we use our own company data, that's restricted within the company. Okay, so Sekiguchi-san, do you do a kind of a marketing research? We have a marketing research group separately, and there is a specialized user research. But we are in charge of the log data, more quantitative data, and also that the web data research. Sometimes that we talk with them, but these three groups exist separately, and these three groups are collaborating or cooperating. Yes, occasionally, and particularly for those big issue or big project because of the cost. All right, so the knowing the limit of the data would be very important in terms of our literacy. All right, and then the last topic. What experience and mindset is required for data analysts or data scientists to grow? The last topic is also very deep. Okay, Sekiguchi-san, what do you think? Well, there are could be a different answers, but I think the data analyst is that using the job is to use the data to lead to a decision making. So those senior person in service who would not have a good knowledge on data, then that the analyst who is able to explain clearly so that that senior person would understand and reach to that better decision. So we are not a decision maker, but we are the supporter or for the decision making. So that our job may not be to present that options, rather we should have the views as a decision maker, and then we would be able to think that this data would not be enough to reach the decision making, so we need to get this data or that data. So that kind of approach is important, and data analysis itself is an interesting job. So it's one interesting example would be the diaper and the beer. So that the knowledge that you get can be enjoyed, and you should be able to enjoy and find the interesting points in your job of data analysis. So simply enjoy your job is important. Okay, enjoying the job. That's a very good keyword. All right, Takaguchi-san. Well, as Sekiguchi-san said, the customer view. A kind of a customer view is, I agree, totally agree with that. So that we in a cross-functional group, does not have a direct responsibility over the business. However, because basically that we work on the request basis from the business, therefore it's very important to be close to the business. And what it said in the company is that when I talk with the business person, the responsible person over the business, they sometimes wait for the hypothesis, which would be enlightening one, and but sometimes we do not with those members from the different jobs. If we are able to present a certain hypothesis, and then that will, if that will help the discussion, I think that's what the good job that we can do. We do not have to resolve all with the data.
So you have to communicate and collaborate with the different departments, and in order to generate values. How do you acquire or grow that kind of mindset? Well, it's a difficult question. Well, by working on a project, you have to go through the trial and errors. The phase will be different, and the key point will be different from different departments. So you cannot generalize. With the long-term assignment, you can be a part of the project group, and you can feel the necessity out of that project. Here, I'd like to take one question from the customers. When you are in charge of the new project, how do you estimate how long one project takes? It's difficult. It's a question to a manager. Maybe it's a difficult question, but can you simply answer the questions? Well, for that topic, it's very difficult to estimate how long. It's impossible in a sense. So we have to minimize the cost. We need to have an analysis to know the depth and how much it will cost first. It's a good expression. How about you, Mr. Takaguchi? Well, it's a difficult answer for a new project. You never know what data is included. It's difficult to estimate, actually. Bear in mind, we have a lot of milestones. If you have a far goal, you have to have a small goal so that until you get the first report, you have the more accurate estimation. So in order to have a first report, it takes 1 month. And by repeating this cycle, you will know the timeline between our group and the service groups so that we can control its case by case. Thank you. So it's like trial and errors. Thank you. Then it's about time we have to wrap up. Well, thank you very much for having your clear ideas and what you're doing. So in order to wrap up, any message or any comments from the panel discussion, Mr. Sekiguchi from Yahoo Japan? Well, the data analysis has something difficult. However, we smile and we enjoy data analysis, actually. So we like to work together with also the line counterparts. How about you, Mr. Takaguchi? It's fun to see something in common and something is different. There is no one particular answer to anything. Well, we focus on the difficulties, but on the other hand, it leads to the challenging things and the motivation so that our analysis results can be contributed to the results of the business. Also, data analysis is fun, so everyone, and so we like to work together with the data. And that's all. Thank you very much for participation. Thank you.